So who am I? Shortly, I'm a Google developer expert on UX and UI, and also I work as a UX expert as a in a company in Turkey, and I've been working on UX for 5 years. So if you have any questions about UX, web or mobile, it doesn't matter. You can ask me. We can have a coffee out there. So today's agenda outline is about disability, design processes, design tips, user research, app development and product design, and also how to test them, how to create personal stories. So I have a question for you. What do 4 million apps and over 600 million websites have in common? Do you have any answers? Designers also. Another? Interface. And any other? No? Okay, the answer is they suck. Yeah, that's a big problem because UX is really important for our users because it's their experience. So there are some companies that make it really good. For example, Twitter. Twitter is one of the best mobile app for Android, which supports accessibility almost 100%. And I had some interviews with blind people, and their best choice was Twitter. But in the App Store, it changes because, you know, there are some regulations, there are some processes on App Store. So they check your application step by step, and they approve. So you go to market. But in Google Play, we don't have that kind of process. When you upload your APK, just in 20 minutes, you're online and ready to download. So this is the reason is why Apple products, Apple mobile applications or applications on the App Store is more accessibility friendly than Android applications. But today, we try to fix it. So the weird thing is, Tinder is also accessibility friendly application. So if you are a blind person, you still have a chance to date. That's awesome. And what is UX? UX is the value to deliver at every touch point. Emily Stewart says it. And it's definitely true. We try to fix every point of your application, from coding to design, to marketing, to production. Every step, you should care about UX. And by talking disability, I have some info for you. This info is from, oh, that was too much. World Health Organization, and almost 50% of the human population in Earth disabled persons. It means there are 1 billion disabled people in the world. So you have a really good target user to, you know, sell your application. So let's think about a male who is 35 and non-smoker and who works on an office job like a developer or designer, and with some outdoor activities. For example, he go to the work by walking, or, you know, he used public transport. So he has a 21% chance to be a disabled person for 3 months. Or he can be a disabled person more than 8 months, and its percentages of 38. So that's really huge percentage. And also, there are 2 types of disabilities. Temporary, for example, if you broke your arm or leg, you're a disabled person. Or even if you drive a car, you know, you have to keep both your hands on the wheel. So you're a temporary disabled person because you cannot use them. So accessibility is really important for everyone. And I have some myths for you. Let's start with the first one. It's hard to implement. No. Because Android had so much good things in last years, and there are really good libraries to add your code. and it's really good. And also, you just need to add some content descriptions in your code, so it doesn't take so much time, and it's not so hard to implement it. And text-only pages are the best. No, because if a person, let's think about that. You're making a web page or mobile application for a disabled person. So your target audience is blind people, colorblind people, okay, and low vision disabled people. So with low vision disability, you can read text by getting some help, and you can see images. So if you make them ugly, people will not gonna use it. So text on the pages not the best. And accessible apps or websites looks boring. Bullshit. Because accessibility push you to be more creative, because you have to solve this problem with your design. So you have to be creative, you have to be more fun, okay? And it takes too much time and money. No, you just need to write some content descriptions for basic, if you're not using some custom actions. And it takes only 30 minutes more to type a content description. So it doesn't take too much time and money. And accessibility is optional. No, it's for everyone, so it's a necessary option. You should put accessibility features on your applications. And accessibility is for disabled users? No, it's for you, it's for me, it's for everyone. Like I said, for example, if you broke your arm, you will not be able to use your phone for a while. So you can understand ALS people, or an ALS person, or somebody else who is not able to use his hand or arm. And it's responsibility of developers? No, it's responsibility of everyone, from the product team to the marketing team. And for example, when they come for a project to us, we ask them, did you think about accessibility? And if they say no, we suggest them to think about that and come for another meeting, okay? Because, yeah, it's a responsibility for a developer. You have to write your code for accessibility features, but it's also a responsibility of mine, because I have to make my designs for a disabled person, okay? And also your product manager is responsible, because he has to think about accessibility and push you to make these features on your applications. And final, and my favorite one, if I can use, everyone can do it. No, you can use because you already built it. So you have to test it with other people. So another question, when in a project do you think accessibility, or do you think accessibility? Any answers? No? Okay. Normally, the process is like that. Research, design, development, and test. And if you are a good company, you iterate it. So we have a timetable for it. And research, in general, takes too much time if you make it. And when you complete your researches, you gave the result to the design team so they can work on the user interface. And when they do that, you start to code it, develop it. And then a random guy comes and say, did we think about accessibility? No, let's think about accessibility. And you start to rewrite your code or review your code and add some accessibility features. Then you try to text them. So it's wrong. It should be like that. Yeah, you should make your research. Then you should make a research about accessibility too. Then you give your results to the design team. They make the UI and you code and then test. This is how it should be. So let's go with accessible design. This is Matt Murdock from Netflix TV series, Daredevil. And he's a blind person, and he's going to help us to understand personas. So there are some questions to ask yourself for creating personas. First question, who are the users? If you don't know your users, you cannot make a proper application for them. The second one, what are the activities they wish to perform? If they want to, send a mail or text or take a photo, you have to figure out what you need to provide them. And the third one, why they might visit your website, mobile application. What is their motivation? If you don't know their motivation, if you know their starting point, you cannot solve this problem. So you have to know their motivations, or you have to push them to make these options or features, okay? And the last one, how does our website, app, service fit into their context life? How can we take a part of their lives? So, meet John Fisher. He's a customer or client of Matt Murdock, and he is 70 years old, retired, and has some disabilities like low vision, hand tremor, and short-time memory loss. And his technical level is not so high. He uses his mobile phone just for, calls and looking for his grandchild's photos, and sometimes communicate with the friends. And here's some attributes. He has a low vision problem, so he tried to use screen magnifiers to, magnify the text. And he uses his phone only for call and camera and small applications like SMS or, maybe sometimes Facebook. And he prefers large texts, links, and icons because he has a low vision problem and he has hand tremor. His hands is shaking all the time. And he finds stickers and flashing animations disturbing because, if you have low vision problem, you will not understand all the actions or the animations or the transitions. So after a while, it's gonna be annoying. And he's easy to, get lost in an app. So what is his goals? Able to use basic services on the mobile and don't get stuck on apps. And sometimes he wants to save his data and he wants to customize font size and colors and contents for him. So how can we solve his problem? First, empathy. We have to think like him. We have to act like him. We try to, understand his pain point. Then we conquer it. We try to, create a detailed persona like this one. Yeah, he's 70 years old, retired. He has some problems and, his technical levels, blah, 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 and we can solve his problem by doing this. And then we try to find a person like our persona. Okay, we try to find the John Fisher to make a face-to-face interview. Because if you don't make a face-to-face interview, your persona will be a, random guy in your dreams. Because you don't have him in real life, so you have to find him. And then you should think about disability options. So today we will talk about 3 different disabilities: visual disabilities, hearing disabilities, and mobility disabilities. Okay? But before that, we have a principle, poor principle. Your applications or solutions should be perceivable, operable, understandable, and robust. So these are the 4 basic rules. And let's start with vision disability. There are 3 types of vision disability. First, blindness. Second, low vision. And third, color blindness. Let's go with blindness. What are the problems? First, they cannot scan for content. They cannot see anything on the screen. And the second one is their primary interaction is just with keyboard or third-party stuffs. Okay, and the third one is hard to access visual information because they cannot see it. And this is not their problems, but the screen readers have limits, okay? like, if you try to talk back for 10 or 15 minutes, you'll figure out. Just try to, follow the user guide of the TalkBack on your Android phone, and you will understand what are the pain points of screen readers. So, how can I solve their problems? We have to be perceivable. So we have to include detailed task descriptions for graphics, videos, or animations. Then we have to be operable. We have to, they should be use our application with keyboard or screen magnifier or screen reader. So it should be compatible with them. And we have to be understandable because, if you cannot see the context, you cannot understand the data structure. Okay, you have to be very basic steps. You have to put your applications in baby steps. You need a good information architecture in your application. Everything should be, following a process. And to be robust, we have to be careful about new technologies. For example, while you're coding your application, your target SDK was 19. And for example, TalkBack's new version works on, 21 or 22. So you have to be compatible with older versions also. You have to think about that. Yes, Mila Kunis. She has a disability too. Actually, this photo has chosen by a random guy in the conference. And he has a low vision problem. Her left eye is not so good on seeing. So let's start with low vision too. This is how a normal person see when look a page, okay? And this is a glaucoma person. There's a black point just in front of your eyes. And this is a cataract person. Yeah, there's flu and blur. And also, we have diabetic retinopathy. You have, small black points in the view. And it goes. So, what are the challenges? They cannot see without a magnifier. They need a magnifier to, understand the text or images. And text in the graphics are hard to read. For example, you have a banner in your application and you typed a text on the banner as JPEG, okay? So in different screen sizes, it looks different. And if you cannot arrange the resolution or contrast, they will not able to read it. So it's better to use real texts or without images or backgrounds, okay? And they cannot see contents because low contrast and low resolution. So, how can we solve these problems? And I already say the first one, do not use image texts, use real texts. And the second one is use percentages, then DPs or pixels, in your layouts, and also maximize the contrast of your pages, including graphics, fonts, and backgrounds. And Mark Zuckerberg, he's a colorblind. That's why Facebook is blue. And there are some challenges about color blindness also. So I have a test for you. We try to find a colorblind person in this room. I hope we cannot find it. Okay, the first one is 12. Can you read it? Okay, this one is 8. Okay, this one is 3. Yes. And this? Okay, I think I'm a colorblind. And this is 42. Yes. So, any colorblinds? No? Thank God. And there are 4 types of color blindness. First one is, I'll shortly tell them, cannot see red, cannot see green, cannot see blue, and cannot see any colors. And that's really rare. So, what are the challenges? Yeah, they cannot see all the colors. And if you use your colored text as the only way to figure out. For example, there is an error. Okay, there is a right button, but there is just an button and text. There is no icon, and they all red, so he cannot see it. You need to be careful about icons, texts, and colors. You have to convey the information in a different way. And also, they cannot realize bad contrast. And for that, we have hues, lightness, and saturation. So what are those? These are the color combinations for your applications, which color for background and which color for foreground. So let's go for them. You have to arrange your contrast between background and foreground. Okay. For example, this one is effective because there's a light background and dark text, so it's easy to read. But the below, it's not so effective because it's green and red, so a color-blind person cannot realize the difference between them. Okay. And the second one is reverse. Okay, light background with light text. Not a logical choose. And this is, again, light background, but dark text. So you have to be careful about your color combinations. So how can we do that? Try to use, if you use dark backgrounds, try to use light texts on it. And I, suggest you to use dark backgrounds most of the time. Because for example, after the Android Wear 2.0 distribution, they decided to use dark backgrounds because under the sunlight, it's really hard to read it. So when you make the background is dark, it's going to be easy to read it. And if you are making a mobile application, there is always a possibility to use it under sunlight. So it will be logical to make your application with dark backgrounds. So, hearing disabilities. Did you know that Bill Clinton has a hearing disability? His left ear is not so good by hearing, so he made some wrong decisions all the time. So, what are the challenges? They cannot hear, so you have to provide them another option to, understand the context. And sometimes they can miss the transcript or subtitles or captions, so you have to be careful about that. How can you do that? If you have a video animation, try to add some subtitles, and if you have an audio content, just put a description text under it so they can see and read it because they cannot hear it. And try to synchronize your captions with the voice and also the gestures, so they can follow the speaker and the subtitles. And also give them a chance to fail and add the start, stop, and reverse forward options. And last one, mobility disabilities. What are the challenges? Yeah, they may not be able to control touchscreen. Just imagine that you don't have both of your arms. How can you use a mobile screen? Yeah, with a pen in your mouth. Any other suggestions? By using your foot. Okay, we'll talk about it in 5 minutes. And they maybe need an extra keyboard or button. So how can we solve these problems? We need a good navigation structure, a good information structure, and we have to give some feedbacks to users. But by doing this, I don't mean vibrations or something or sounds. Just try to do it with animations, because when you try to use a phone with your leg or foot, you cannot understand all the vibrations or other things. So you need some warnings on the screen. And if I use my phone in disability mode, accessibility mode, you can show me some actions on the screen. When I press the button, yeah, you press the button, a text or, you know, a green animation on the screen, maybe. And try to implement Braille back. So you have, probably you're, you know, curious about Braille back, so I'll show it too. So what is my role or our role as designers in accessibility? And for UX designers, we have to recognize the accessibility implications of our designs. And we need to, you know, apply accessibility personas and scenarios in our research to, you know, ensure our designs are accessible. And we have to make some interviews, we have to make some face-to-face talks, and then we have to test them to iterate the design. So I have a story for you. Do you use Uber? Okay. When I was at, it was Greece, I guess. Yeah. I called an Uber, okay, and driver came and picked me up to the airport, and I realized that he's trying to tell me something, but he's a deaf person, so that's a big problem for us. So he just put his phone in his hand, opened the Google Keep, and typed, "Where are we going?" And I opened the Uber again. I add the location, destination as airport, and he took his phone again and said, "Thank you." And I asked him, you know, did you have a proper job before Uber? And he said, "No, Uber is my only job to gain money." And Uber's founders didn't know that. And Uber don't have a proper accessibility option too, but the service is accessible. Okay, it gives you some potential to, you know, communicate with the driver and customer. So this is really good. And also a number taxi, a startup from Kyrgyzstan, Bishkek. We had a design sprint in Kyrgyzstan, and we tried to improve their UX in this design sprint. And I asked them a question, okay, do you know, is your user, is a disabled person or not? And they said no. And let's think about this scenario. I'm a mobility disabled person, okay? I need a wheelchair to go everywhere. So I called the taxi, but they send me a small car, and there is no place to put my wheelchair on it. So this is a problem. And I say, okay, let's add some features to understand our users in the settings. First, try to add hearing disabilities, hearing impaired. So when the driver comes, you know, he's not gonna horn. He's gonna send me a message, yeah, I'm just in front of your door, please come here. And the second one is visually impaired. If I'm a visually impaired person, the taxi driver can help me, okay? He knows I have some troubles to go somewhere, and he can help me. And the third one is mobility disabled. So when I call the taxi, if I check the mobility disabled option, you can send me a bigger one so I can put my wheelchair on it. And as you can see, we didn't make any changes on applications, but we tried to find solutions for our service. So you can do that too. You can find a solution for your service, or you can implement accessibility features for your application. So what are the accessibility features of Android? First one is, while writing a code, you need to use content description. This is an example for buttons. This is for this is for labels, okay? So, what are the basic features? First, talkback. Do you have Android phone? Okay. Try to use talkback for 10 or 15 minutes. Okay, you'll got the paint. You'll figure out how it's hard to use with non-Google applications, because Google implemented all Android accessibility features in their applications, but there are lots of third-party applications on the market, so try to use Facebook with TalkBack. Okay? You understand what I'm saying. The second one is BrailleBack. So BrailleBack, this is a Braille. Okay? This is a device to communicate with your phone with the Braille alphabet. So basically, you connect this device to your Android phone with OTG or Bluetooth, and then these are the buttons for navigation: up, down, home, and apps. And this keyboard is for texting and giving you some feedbacks. Okay, and this is a feature of Android since 4.0. And we have switch access. It's newer than BrailleBack. So this is for disabled person, mobility disabled person. There are two buttons. Okay, you connect this device to your mobile phone via OTG or Bluetooth again, and you add some, main rules for the buttons. For example, OK and home. And when I push the OK button, tool starts to read the screen by horizontal and vertical, okay? And first start with horizontal, and I push the button again, it stops, and starts to, scan the screen on vertical way. And when I, come to exact point that I need to press, I push the button again, and it stops, and it chooses the button or text I need to highlight, okay? Then when you push the OK button, it's push the OK button and some things happen on your screen. So it's kind of hard to use. And we have a gift for you. And this is voice access. Voice access is new. It works like, almost Google Assistant. Okay, when you press the voice access button, you say, for example, open docs, and it runs the docs. This gift from my friend Philip. You can see his name. So other features. We have large text options, magnification gestures, color inversion, color correction, and high contrast text for colorblinds, and caption support for hearingly impaired persons. Okay. So we added some tools or libraries and try to make our application accessibility friendly. So how can we test it? And thanks to Google, we have an automated application on the market. This is Google's accessibility scanner. You can download it from Play Store. And when you start the application, it starts to search for the faults and give you some suggestions. For example, text contrast, you need to improve text contrast, or font size is, lower than it should be, so you have to use bigger fonts. This is free and easy to use. And also, you can use Espresso. Do you use Espresso? There are some, you can make a test on Espresso too, just add accessibilitychecks.enable. So, the world is changing, so we are. And now we have wearables, IoT devices, nanotech devices, machine learnings, robotics, ARs, VRs, autonomous cars, artificial intelligence, and mobile. So accessibility is a part of all of them. Okay, you can implement accessibility to an autonomous car or your mobile phone or your wearable. So you have to think about disabled persons too. You have to empathize. You have to define their problems. And you have to think about how can you solve them. Okay? And after you do that, you can create a simple prototype to test it. For example, this is a paper prototyping. It's really fun to do, and I have a workshop tomorrow for paper prototyping. And the idea is, you just have papers, scissors, Post-its, and pens. You draw your design on the paper, just as a sketch. Okay, and then you highlight them with Post-its. And the Post-it says that, yeah, this is a clickable area, or this is a highlight text. And for example, when your user click on the post-it, pushing the post-it, you change the page, and you can see another feature on the application. So, if I had an hour to solve a problem, I would spend 55 minutes thinking about the problem and 5 minutes thinking about solutions. Do you know who said that? Albert Einstein. So, even one of the biggest scientists of the world says that, yeah, he needs to think about 55 minutes about the problem. So we should do that too. We need to understand our users to solve their problems, and for us, save some money and time. And we have to align our team for that. We have to talk about our researchers, our designers, developers, product managers. We have to work as a team on a project, okay? Because it's our responsibility, not the developer or not the designer. It's our as a team, okay? So that was my presentation. Thank you so much for listening me.